Imagine walking into, like, the harshest, most unforgiving stretch of the Gobi Desert.
Right. Just miles and miles of absolute nothingness.
Exactly. Nothing but dry, cracked earth and relentless sun. But then, out of nowhere, you stumble upon a hidden oasis.
A literal oasis in the middle of a wasteland.
Yeah, a literal oasis. There are, babbling streams, fragrant flowers, and 50 people originating from Canada, Zimbabwe, Germany, Taiwan, just all over the place, wandering through this greenery in absolute unbroken serenity.
Wow. Just 50 strangers living out there.
Yeah, get this. They have no laws. They have no leaders. They have intentionally severed all ties with their families and their home countries.
That's an intense level of commitment.
Right, and they are simply out there waiting to become immortal celestial beings.
It honestly sounds like the setup for a surreal science fiction novel.
It really does.
But it's an incredibly real, profoundly human attempt to just hit the eject button on the mortal world. Throughout history, whenever the friction and noise of daily civilization become overwhelming, we constantly see these radical attempts to build something entirely new from scratch.
And that deep, almost universal desire to escape is the exact engine driving our deep dive today.
Absolutely.
We are exploring this fascinating text written in 2006 by an author who goes by the title Deiform Celestial.
Deiform Celestial, that's quite a title.
It is, yeah. The document itself is called Beautiful Scenery in Lifechanyuan.
Okay.
And it outlines this exact utopian oasis, which claims to be nothing less than the ideal permanent home for future humankind.
Right, the blueprint for a new reality.
Exactly. So our mission today, the central driving mystery we need to figure out, is how does a group of 50 strangers actually survive in an extreme desert environment by explicitly banning all human laws and obligations?
It's a huge question because it defies everything we know about how societies function.
Right. We really need to understand what this philosophy looks like in practice and, how it justifies its pretty brutal critique of the modern world that you and I live in right now.
Yeah, and it is a document that absolutely forces us to examine the invisible scaffolding of our own society.
For sure.
Because Deiform Celestial isn't just pitching like a temporary vacation spot where you go to decompress for a weekend.
Right. It's not a spa.
No, not at all. They are pitching a complete, irreversible teardown of human civilization.
Wow.
They want to replace our entire operational model with something they argue is evolutionarily and spiritually superior.
To even begin grasping their philosophy, I think we have to visualize the sheer physical contrast they claim to have built out there.
Yeah, the setting is crucial.
The text emphasizes this environment so heavily. Like, imagine you are surrounded by the boundless Gobi Desert, which acts as this massive, hostile barrier against the outside world.
Just completely isolated.
Totally isolated. But inside this barrier, the text describes lovely weather, auspicious light, singing birds, and lush green mountains all year round.
And that geography, it really serves a metaphorical purpose,
How so?
Well, the harshness of the desert, it represents the worldly dust, the stress, all the chaotic noise that they are actively fleeing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so the oasis is positioned as this land of idyllic, unbanned beauty. By placing paradise right in the middle of a wasteland, the author is creating a physical manifestation of their core belief.
Which is what?
That salvation requires extreme, complete isolation from the rest of humanity.
Ah, right. And as of 2006, they claimed 50 residents were actively living out this isolation.
50 people.
Yeah, 50 people from incredibly diverse backgrounds, mainland, China, New Zealand, America, who are supposedly completely cut off from the concepts of indifference, selfishness, envy, and detestation.
That's a very tall order for any group of humans living together.
It really is. Yeah. And I do want to highlight the specific way the text characterizes these people because it relies on some very distinct, highly idealized archetypes.
Oh, right. The gender descriptions.
Yes. The women are described as, quote, beautiful, gentle, and elegant, while the men are handsome, resolute, and steadfast, and immortal.
It's very poetic.
Yeah, and they supposedly just spend their days walking among flowers, bathing in purple sunlight, and playing in laughter.
It paints a picture of absolute, unbothered leisure.
Yeah, totally.
And it relies on these somewhat traditional elevated gender aesthetics to communicate a sense of divine order, and visual harmony.
I gotta say, when I first read this description, I immediately pictured An extreme, hyper-isolated international wellness retreat.
Ah, yeah, I can see that.
Like one of those resorts where you show up, they take your smartphone at the door, hand you a linen tunic, and just orchestrate a perfectly calm environment for you.
A very expensive retreat, usually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there is a glaring flaw in that analogy. A wellness retreat implies that you eventually check out and go back to your normal life.
You go back to work.
Right. But this text makes it crystal clear that this is a one-way trip.
And what's fascinating here is that the text doesn't view this space as a normal human community at all.
Really? How did they see it?
It explicitly frames Lifechanyuan as a border zone of the heaven and mortal world.
A border zone.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not a commune, it is a crucible. The stated purpose of this environment is to take ordinary mortals and actively remold them into sages.
Sages.
Sages who will then eventually transform into full-blown celestial beings. So they are no longer operating as citizens of their respective countries. They consider themselves Chanyuan celestials.
Okay, but if they're actively trying to remold base human nature to literally engineer envy and selfishness out of 50 strangers living in close quarters, my mind immediately assumes they must have a deeply rigid disciplinary structure.
You would think so.
Right. I kept looking for the catch, because every utopian commune eventually relies on a charismatic, authoritarian leader or like an incredibly strict chore wheel just to keep things from falling apart.
Somebody has to be in charge.
Exactly. But this text insists they have absolutely nothing of the sort.
And that is exactly where the text just pulls the rug out from under our standard sociological expectations.
Yeah.
Their answer to how they govern this diverse group of people is that they completely refuse to govern.
It's wild.
They have abandoned modern institutions from the ground up.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah,
Because the operational claims here are just staggering.
they really are.
The text proudly declares that in Lifechanyuan there is no constitution,
None.
there is no law, there are no responsibilities, and there are no obligations.
And it extends to leadership as well. It explicitly states there are no authority figures of any kind.
Zero.
No president, no pope, no imam, and no master. They claim to operate entirely on the principle of taking things as they come and acting by nature.
I have to push back on the reality of that concept.
Go for it.
Whenever a philosophy claims to have abolished all obligations and responsibilities, I instantly picture a chaotic college group project.
Oh, the worst kind of group project.
Right. If no one is legally or morally obligated to do anything, how does the plumbing get fixed?
Who takes out the trash?
Yes. Who takes out the trash?
Yeah.
I really struggle to understand how a physical society functions if it has actively outlawed basic societal expectations.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the unique psychology behind this specific brand of utopianism.
Okay.
For you and me, a law, an obligation, or even a schedule is simply a practical tool to ensure, the trash gets taken out and the society remains stable.
It's just logistics.
Right. But in the philosophy of Deiform Celestial, these human-made structures are fundamentally categorized as fetters.
Fetters, like chains.
Exactly. The text lumps laws and obligations in with chains, exploitation, oppression, and violence. It treats them all as the exact same phenomenon.
Wait, so they don't view a law as something that prevents violence. They view the law itself as the root cause of the violence.
Precisely. It's the exact opposite of how traditional societies operate.
Wow.
By their logic, external rules create friction. When you tell a human being they have an obligation to do a chore, you introduce resentment, rebellion, hierarchy.
Ah,
So the author replaces human law with what they call the law of nature.
and how does that actually work in practice?
Well, the underlying mechanism relies on the belief that if you strip away all artificial pressure, a person who is spiritually aligned with their environment will just naturally maintain it.
Naturally maintain it.
Yeah, you don't need a law to tell a tree to grow leaves.
Right.
And they believe you don't need a schedule to tell a Chanyuan celestial to fix a leaking pipe.
Mm-hmm.
It will happen organically because it's in harmony with the space.
That is an astronomical leap of faith.
It truly is.
I mean, you are trusting that the total vacuum of pressure will magically result in perfect, proactive harmony. But to actually test that theory, a person has to leave their country, their legal protections, and their entire safety net completely behind.
Leaving everything.
Trusting people to act like trees just doesn't seem like enough motivation to walk into the Gobi Desert.
No, Probably not for most people.
There has to be a deeper, more calculated reason they make this extreme trade-off.
And the text does provide that motivation.
No.
It frames life as a highly competitive, high-stakes game.
Hello, game.
Yes. It uses the metaphor of playing chess to explain the journey of a Chanyuan celestial.
Oh, interesting.
It argues that most people in the mortal world are playing the game poorly, we're running in circles, stepping backward, and just living busy but hopeless lives.
Just grinding away.
Exactly. But to reach the summit, you have to play life like a chess master. You must intimately know your own strengths, your weaknesses, and the layout of the entire board.
And in this chess match, their primary strategy for winning is aggressively removing pieces from the board.
That's one way to put it, yeah.
The text states they must purposefully break the binds of common customs. They sever ties with politics, religion, their country, and, honestly, most brutally, their own families.
That's the hardest part to swallow.
It really is. Throwing the abandonment of your family into a chess metaphor is a heavy, almost chilling concept. It essentially treats the deepest human connection as a strategic liability.
To an outside observer, it absolutely looks like a tragic loss of support systems and identity.
Yeah.
But Deiform Celestial frames this mass severance as the ultimate calculated shortcut.
A shortcut.
Yeah. The mechanism here is all about minimizing drag.
Mhm.
By cutting the heavy tethers of earthly attachments, they claim a person can travel straight to the source of life with the absolute minimum expenditure of cost and time.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, because we are hitting a massive paradox in the text. Yeah. Earlier, we established that they have no rules, no obligations, and they just float along acting by nature like trees.
Right.
But right here, they describe their spiritual journey as a ruthless, calculated chess match.
It's quite a contrast.
It is. The text explicitly claims they aren't just wandering aimlessly. It says they operate on a meticulous, strict, and reasonable logical theory of science.
Science.
Yeah. So how do you reconcile a society of unburdened, rule-free nature lovers who are simultaneously executing a highly rigorous scientific algorithm just to hack their way into heaven?
It is a brilliant tension, honestly, and it reveals a lot about how they market this philosophy.
How so?
Well, they are attempting to marry the romantic appeal of effortless, natural living with the psychological reassurance of absolute certainty. Think about it. When you convince someone to strip away all their earthly structures, their family, their laws, their nation, that person is going to experience terrifying vertigo.
Oh, for sure. Total freefall.
Exactly. They need to know they aren't just lost in the Gobi Desert with a bunch of strangers.
They need a plan.
Right. So by branding their philosophy as a logical theory of science, Deiform Celestial provides an intellectual map. They treat spiritual salvation as a geometric proof.
Like an equation.
Yes. If earthly attachments equal suffering, then deleting those attachments mathematically equals salvation.
It is an optimization problem applied directly to the human soul.
That's a great way to put it.
And the reward they promise for solving this equation is wild.
It is massive.
They claim that their specific fast track to enlightenment actually achieves universal religious harmony.
Which is quite the claim.
To say the least. The text asserts that in Lifechanyuan, the greatest creator smiles softly, Jesus comforts his heart, Buddha feels at ease, and Lao Tzu is happy.
We are seeing a very deliberate, syncretic, spiritual amalgamation here.
Totally.
The text looks at the thousands of years of endless, bloody conflict between different faiths in the mortal world and essentially says, well, we solved the math.
We figured it out, guys. Everyone can relax.
Yeah. By stripping away human dogma and earthly religious institutions, the churches, the mosques, the temples, they claim to have isolated the pure universal truth that satisfies all the great historical spiritual figures simultaneously.
It is the ultimate cheat code for existence. It really is.
You bypass the chore wheels, the religious wars, the family drama, and you just fast track to universal enlightenment while lounging by a babbling brook.
This sounds pretty good on paper.
It does. And if they truly believe they have cracked this ultimate code, it completely recontextualizes how they view everyone else who is still playing the normal, heavily burdened game of life.
Oh, absolutely.
The critique this text levels at the modern world is absolutely relentless.
Yeah, the text doesn't just argue that our modern lifestyle is stressful or maybe a little misguided. It argues that our entire civilization is a profound, tragic, Delusion.
A delusion.
It systematically targets every single metric by which modern humans measure success, and it just strips it of all its value.
It dismisses literally everything we build our lives around.
Everything.
The text explicitly tells the reader not to look at the bright city lights or the busy traffic, calling it all a superficial presentation of life.
Just surface-level stuff. Right. It waves away our bank wealth, our advanced communications, and even the simple pleasure of meat and wine on the dinner table as nothing more than a flash in the pan.
They're attacking the permanence of our achievements.
Yeah.
Like, we build skyscrapers and accumulate wealth to feel secure and significant, you know?
To feel like we matter.
Exactly. But Deformed Celestial labels all of these physical and economic comforts as temporary illusions that distract us from the actual game of life.
The phrase that really stuck with me is how the text describes our digital world.
Oh, yes.
It mentions thousands of internet networks and endless articles, and it categorizes all of it as a spoondrift of the sea.
Spoondrift, such a specific word.
I know, right? It refers to our entire digital reality as spoondrift, which is just the weightless foam blown off the top of an ocean wave, destined to vanish into smoke in a twinkle.
And this raises an important question about the rhetorical tactics used in utopian manifestos.
How do you mean?
The author uses the concept of scale to dwarf the reader's reality. By comparing the entirety of human knowledge and digital communication to a literal millimeter of evaporating sea foam, it makes our daily anxieties feel incredibly small.
So what does this all mean? I want you, the listener, to pause and think about this for a second.
It's worth reflecting on.
Think about the sheer volume of time you spend stressing over a work email, or doom scrolling through a news feed, or just checking your bank account balance.
Probably more time than any of us want to admit.
Right. This text looks at the totality of your professional and digital existence and brushes it off as literal sea spray.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's highly dismissive, almost offensive.
Sure.
But on the other hand, there is a weird psychological relief in imagining that all of our modern friction might just be evaporating smoke.
And that psychological relief is exactly what the text preys upon.
Interesting.
And it amplifies this manipulation of scale when it looks at the largest forces on the planet, too.
It goes beyond just our personal lives.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't just critique your email inbox. It dismisses grand international meetings, space launchers, and majestic-looking armies and police forces.
Wow.
It brands all of human governance and military might as delusions of spiritual nature and insignificant mightiness.
Insignificant mightiness is such a potent phrase.
It really is.
It is looking at a multi-billion-dollar rocket ship launching into orbit and essentially patting it on the head, calling it cute but meaningless.
Yeah, by contrasting massive, loud global forces like space programs and armies with the quiet, isolated serenity of their Gobi oasis, they attempt to completely redefine what constitutes actual power.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then to anchor this, they make a specific biological claim.
What's the claim?
The text states that while the secrets of the human body exist in the microscopic cell, the true hope of humankind exists only in Lifechanyuan. They position their tiny group of 50 people as the literal nucleus of the future.
So they draw a direct line from the microscopic truth of biology to the macroscopic salvation of humanity.
Exactly.
However, I have to point out a glaring, almost comedic contradiction in their absolute rejection of the modern world.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
I mean, they call the internet a spoondrift that vanishes
Yeah.
into smoke, right?
Right.
But if you look at the source material, it literally concludes by listing their active digital footprint.
It really does.
It provides URLs for the Lifechanyuan English website, the new Oasis for Life website, and the International Family website.
Yeah.
For a group that has allegedly severed all ties with the trivial delusions of human infrastructure, they made absolutely certain their domain registrations were up to date.
It is a profound irony, to say the least. But it really exposes the inescapable practical reality of running a utopian movement in the 21st century.
You can't escape it.
You really can't. Even if you are building an isolated border zone to heaven in the deepest part of the Gobi Desert, you still need a mechanism to recruit new mortals. You cannot broadcast your meticulously logical theory of science without relying on the servers, the fiber optic cables, and the banking systems of the very world you claim to despise.
You have to pay for the website hosting somehow.
Exactly. They are forced to use the tools of the mortal world to orchestrate their escape from it.
You cannot recruit resident number 51 without a functioning hyperlink.
Yep.
So let's take a step back and look at the massive picture we've painted today.
It's been quite a journey.
We have explored Deiform Celestial's 2006 vision of an extreme desert oasis where a small, diverse group of people claim to live in perfect, unbothered harmony.
A society that operates on the radical premise that if you completely abolish human laws, obligations, and earthly attachments, including your own family, mind you, you eliminate the friction of existence.
Right.
They believe they have found a spiritual and scientific algorithm that renders everything from our space programs to our daily anxieties entirely obsolete.
It is a total uncompromising rejection of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
By labeling our greatest achievements as insignificant mightiness and our digital lives as evaporating sea foam, the text aggressively challenges us to justify why we continue to participate in the stressful machinery of modern life.
It essentially forces the reader to confront their own attachments and ask whether the rules we live by are actually keeping us safe, or if they are the fetters holding us back from something much simpler.
And that is exactly what I want to leave you with today. A thought experiment to mull over as you go back to your routine.
I love a good thought experiment.
Imagine for a moment that this oasis isn't just a philosophical text, but a real, guaranteed offer.
Okay.
If you were handed a one-way ticket today to a perfectly harmonious environment where you never had to deal with politics, financial stress, or even taking out the trash ever again,
Sounds tempting.
but the mandatory price of admission was abandoning your personal ambitions, surrendering your modern conveniences, and permanently severing ties with your concept of family, would you take it?
It really asks us to define the exact price we are willing to pay for absolute peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or is it possible that the friction itself is the point? The obligations, the complicated family dynamics, that overflowing email inbox, and all those spoon drifts of the mortal world that drive us to the brink of exhaustion.
The things that stress us out the most.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
possible that those challenges and our struggle to navigate them are exactly what give our human lives meaning in the first place? Think about that the next time you hear your phone chime.